Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
All right, welcome to another edition of Growing the Game with Ballsy. I am the aforementioned Ballsy. Wherever you're taking this in, however you're taking this in, I do appreciate it. Hey, I'm going to give myself a shout out in the car business. Got my first sale over at Crestview Chrysler. Pretty happy with that. As I like to say, got one in the boat. And want to thank Rob from the Lee Ross area for being my first customer. Rob Hagee, I believe is how you say his name. So thanks to Rob. If you want to get into a new or pre-owned vehicle, come check me out. 611 Albert Street in Regina, North Albert. Crestview Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. And if you get a vehicle from me, you will be in the running for a Joe jersey, which I picked up, and 2 tickets to the Riders Home opener, courtesy of former voice of the Riders, Michael Ball. Also, I'll see if I can't pull a few strings and get a Joe, that good kid, to sign the jersey. And if you refer somebody to me, send them to me, and they buy a vehicle from me, you get $300 cash. That's right. Spreading it around. So come check me out. Crestview Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 610 Albert Street. All right. Want to thank other sponsors here on this podcast. Ward Tire Craft, 101 Dudney Avenue in Regina. Go check out Michael Barth and the gang there. Tell them Ballsy sent you, and you'll get yourself a 10% off of either tires or your braking mechanical needs. Ward Tire Craft, 101 Dudney Avenue. They have a location in Saskatoon. AGT Foods Canada, feeding the world, giving back to the community, to Murad Al-Khatib, his wife Michelle, and of course Murad's brother Omar. Thanks to them for getting on board this podcast. I feel like I got too much headroom here. Just let me adjust this mic or camera. There we go. Okay, if you're watching this, I love that Pats jersey over my shoulder. It's one they gave to me a few years ago. Pats have been struggling, but they're home for 2 this weekend. And in fact, I will be broadcasting on Access Now. So looking forward to that. Checking out the Pats and the Saskatoon Blades. Also want to thank Paul Waldo, Royal LePage in Regina, getting the real estate game with the 3-time Grey Cup champ. 306-502-5355. Gerhardt Studios, Nicole and Dean do a great job over there, 1779 McCarra Street, with their great staff, including the likes of Eric Cox helping me out. If you need social media for your business, website development and planning, and still photography, go check out Gerhardt Studios. The Boys Next Door window cleaning. They're not doing so much window cleaning this time of year, but they are into snow removal, and they are doing that track Christmas lighting. It costs a little bit at the start, not going to lie to you, but once it's up, it's like PVC fencing. You just forget about it. So thanks to them for getting on board. As well, I'm going to thank District Brewing and their Super Squeeze Seltzer, of course, on the market now, or in the marketplace. Mango lime, passion fruit lime. District Brewing, one of the first businesses to jump on board with me. I love supporting local. They support local. Really appreciate what they do there. So thanks to many of our great sponsors here to help bring this podcast to you. Because of my job at Crestview now, it's kind of not structured like in terms of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm still pumping out 3, sometimes 4 a week. So hopefully you can follow me. Subscribe the YouTube channel at Ballsy Ùncut, X at Ballsy Ùncut, Facebook at Ballsy Ùncut, and we put some posts up on Instagram as well. Okay, this is what we like to say is a gospel according to Ballsy. I used to have great theme music for this, and I'm going to be getting back to that in a little bit. LeBron James has announced a temporary leave from the LA Lakers for quote-unquote personal reasons, coinciding with what has been described as his least stellar performance in recent years. And this decision has led to rampant speculation, particularly due to his past connections with Sean Diddy Combs, who is currently embroiled in a legal controversy, or many of them, having to do with underage sex and of course sex trafficking, allegedly. LeBron's previous remarks about enjoying Diddy's parties have fueled discussions on whether his break might be linked to personal issues or reputational concerns. Additionally, LeBron has decided to take a break from social media, a move he announced to his followers, further intensifying the curiosity around his absence. I don't like weighing too much into, sex trafficking, at least, or especially when it comes to minors. Not really my forte. I would say this. I've never been a fan of LeBron James, and he plays for my favorite team. I dislike that guy so much, and this has nothing to do with it. Now, if he's involved in this, it'd be awful. Right now, it's kind of a petty dislike for the guy. I've never liked him. I think he's too preachy, and he's hypocritical, very hypocritical. And so I won't cheer for my favorite team, the Lakers, till he's off of the team. That's just how I feel. I'm kind of one of those type of fans. But I always say, where there's smoke, there's generally fire. So stay tuned there. The NHL has not signaled when or even if it will look at expanding beyond 32 teams, but it seems to have a growing list of suitors looking to gain entrance into the club, so says TSN. Beyond Atlanta, major markets in Houston and Phoenix, currently without a team, of course, we know, are on the radar. And Gary Bettman, the commissioner, has previously said that smaller places like Cincinnati and Nebraska have shown interest. They're doing everything they can not to go back to Quebec City, even though there's a great rink and waiting right there. The dollar factors in, and it's a small market. So I don't think Quebec City will ever get a team. And Winnipeg fans, make sure you continue to show up for your Jets, because Gary Bettman will look for the first chance to move them out of Dodge. Welcome to Bill Belichick in his era, the college football edition. The former NFL legend, 6-time Super Bowl winning coach, as a head coach that is, was officially introduced at the University of North Carolina's Chapel Hill as the new head coach. It'll be ground zero for one of the most fascinating experiments in college football history. Quote, Belichick said, "I've always wanted to coach in college football. It just never really worked out. Had some good years in the NFL, so that was okay. But this is really a dream come true." Now, Belichick isn't coming cheaply. His contract is worth $50 million over 5 years, but only the first 3 years are guaranteed. I'm not a huge fan of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. In fact, Colorado is not going to win any championship, but he has made Colorado relevant and must-see TV, and really boosted the credibility of Colorado and really poured money into the coffers. So you got to give Coach Prime that. But he was never a GOAT in NFL coaching. I mean, his scheming would be high school level compared to Bill Belichick, let's be honest. Now, Coach Prime will connect better with kids, but Bill Belichick has won Super Bowls as an assistant and as a head coach 6 times. He's the GOAT for coaching. Whether you think he's past his prime or not at 72 years old, I would think there would be a lot of young kids that would want to have a shot at the next level with Bill and his contacts and Mike Lombardi, who comes with him to be kind of the GM of the program. I would think there will be a lot of kids that want to go to Chapel Hill. By the way, do we call it Chapel Bill now? Get it? I'm not here that long. Okay, coming up, speaking of college athletes, I was happy to represent I love when my 2 jobs come together. The job of this podcast, Ballsy Ùncut, and being a sportscaster, which is my first love, and now being at Crestview Chrysler. I love when the 2 come together. And the other day, it did come together for me at the Connexus Arts Center, as I was asked by our general manager, Matt Fisher, to go and represent the dealership and give away the Crestview Chrysler Ram Tough Player of the Year Award at the Rams End of the Year Awards. It's the Linebacker of the Year Award, and it went to Chopper Hippe of Lloydminster. Chopper Hippe is, by the way, great football name. Chopper Hippe is going to join me next on the podcast. This is Ballsy Uncut. Tell all your friends. Okay, you probably get asked this about 100 times. That's probably a low number. Chopper Hippe, like that's a cool name, and that is a cool football name, don't you think?
Oh yeah, like it's the dream. It's like the dream name for football. It's always been a good name, and I always like even when I'm like kind of thinking about what I'm gonna do with like my career and stuff like that, like the name just seems to fit football only.
Yeah. Who picked that name, mom or dad?
Brother actually, my older brother picked it for me. So yeah,
Really?
yeah.
How did that happen?
So he was like around 6 at the time, and then I have two half siblings. I mean, they're pretty much full siblings, but they were like a little bit older. They were 12-ish. And he really liked the movie The Land Before Time, so the little dinosaur named Chomper, he picked that, and then my parents were like, well, you can't call him that, so then it kind of turned into Chopper, and then my parents were like, kind of just gave them a distraction. They're like, hey, if you find a middle name with it, like, we'll go with it, and that was supposed to be just kind of get it, like, kind of on the back burner. But then they actually picked my mom's middle name, which is Lee, so then, like, it kind of stuck, and then my parents were like, ah, why not?
That's an awesome name, man. And
Yeah, yeah,
your mom used to be a bus driver.
yeah.
So when does she drive in the family? Like you is she the
Dad drove
driver?
us too, so he usually takes over if we need to, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, but they can equally critique each other, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got Chopper on the show because in my new life at Crestview Chrysler, the GM Matt Fisher said, "Hey, Ballsy, can you go to this Rams Awards dinner? I know they know you and you know them, and just represent me tonight because I'm a little bit tied up, and I'd like you to represent the company and hand out the Ram Tough Player Award." So I said, well, we got to bring the kids something. So we got that Ram hoodie, we got a Ram hat. And we got some socks. Like the hoodie's sweet, don't you
Yeah, the
think?
hoodie is nice. I wore it the day after, and it was pretty comfy too, which is
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that one. That was a nice little collection. And
I,
the Rams a nice touch on it too, right? You can wear it
yeah.
with the like going to the practice and stuff like that. So
And who knows? Maybe you make the CFL one day. Get a like contra deal with Crestview Chrysler through your buddy Ballsy here. We get you in a Ram truck or something. Hey.
yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. I mean, that's the goal.
Okay, so Crestview Chrysler sponsored that. I got a chance to hand out the award, man. People talked about your leadership and just being a good teammate. Is that what you're most proud of?
Yeah, I kind of like to stick on my neck for the younger guys sometimes, and then like even like doing like those extra film sessions, like I'm a big believer in like our weakest like our like the team's only gonna be as bad as like the worst player on the team is, and so if we can elevate that level, just like leveling up the bottom, not always just we're focusing on the top and stuff like that, and so yeah, and I just like I don't know, I had good leaders coming in myself, so just kind of trying to pay it back to the program, what I've kind of gotten over the years that I've been here.
So who did that for you? You just mentioned that.
Like Varga was a big one for that. Travis Semenok, like Tanner Smith, Josh White, man. Like I could name Cody Peters. Like there's lots of names. There's lots of guys that like everyone's just so willing to help. Even like guys out of position like Garth and Tanner Schmeckel and Anthony Bennett, like those guys, and even Jackson Somback, like guys that are just like a little bit older than you, but like everyone's just trying to get better and everyone's just trying to help you and whatever facet of life it is, even if it's outside of football, like school and stuff like that. Like there's always someone to turn to. So yeah, any of my vets, I could say for sure.
I'll tell you what, the Regina Rams in the little old prairies here, undergraduate school, this team has really produced some great players. You mentioned Ryder Varga, Tanner Schmeckel, the guys that have gone to the NFL. For a long time, it's been known as Receiver U, the place if you want to be a receiver, you go to Regina. But it's a good linebacking school too, man, with Ryder Varga and all the guys that have rolled through there.
Yeah, no, it's been like really sweet. Like, I mean, like it's kind of like a culture like standard that we kind of hold now. Like when I came in, it was like, hey, we've got this crew. The crew before us is like a bunch of legends, even like Danny Nesbitt,
Yeah.
Lane Hall. Like, and hearing those names, it's like, hey, well, you gotta like, you can't just kind of let the torch die, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you play with the physical style. Has it always been that way? Where'd you get that physicality from?
Yeah, it started out early. My older brother, sorry, he always preached just like be physical, don't be the nail, be the hammer, and just it's kind of just elevated as it goes, you know, kind of like it starts out slow in the rookie year, kind of get a feel out for it, and then by your fourth year, you're kind of getting used to it and hammering around a little bit.
Yeah, so your brother Colton came to the Rams, and then you followed him to the Rams. But you guys are in Lloydminster. How do you go from First of all, the big question, was it on the Alberta or Saskatchewan side?
Oh, I was always raised on the Sask side, but I went to school on the Alberta side, so you kind of either
Oh,
or there.
okay, so like I've never asked anybody this. Are there like because Alberta doesn't have any sales tax and Saskatchewan has sales tax. It's a border city. Like, was there any deals, like cheaper deals on one side as opposed to the other, or not? That's a big
Ye-
myth.
No, I don't really notice it, to be honest. Like I mean I also just stick to the Alberta side if I am going for that kind of stuff. But I've just always said like you pick the best rules. Like the best example was COVID. So during COVID, like how all like they're kind of going through all the healthcare system and stuff like that, and like what
Yep.
province was opening up when. We literally just sat on no province and waited for the first one to open up. So we just jumped on Sask Health as soon as they opened up first. So that's kind
Yeah.
of like the way it kind of goes, I guess. So you just take the best of both worlds and yeah,
Yeah,
pick the
and,
best.
and I'm not saying you're into drinking, but you might like a beer, so you could probably drink
Oh yeah.
earlier in Alberta, right? You go for a little
Oh
beer
yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well everywhere's 18 except for the casino. And I think that's
Oh,
just because it's like underneath Saskatchewan casino like
yeah,
rights.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I think that's the only thing, but
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I know those are weird questions, man. Um,
no, good.
let's so why did you guys choose Regina? Like, how did your brother and then you end up in Regina from Lloyd?
I think we just both really like the coaching staff. Like I know Colton really liked talking to Mark, and I really liked Gray. And then Mark also like recruited me because he was kind of the recruiting guy at the time because Stephen Bryce was still the head coach, so he
Yeah.
wasn't really fully into effect there. So yeah, no, it was just like I really trusted them. I really liked the setup too because when I came down for my visit, like having the locker room in the school and just kind of I don't know. I've always loved football, and it seems like everyone down here loves football, and they just want to be swallowed by it. So just wanted to kind of jump on the wagon a little.
Once you talk about your head coach, I have all the time in the world for Mark McConkey. He's a really good man, and he's proven to be a good coach, but a really good man. Just your thoughts on Mark McConkey and how important it is to have a guy that's a good guy leading a team.
Oh, I love Mark. I've always kind of like followed like he just does things the right way, and you kind of like I don't know. There's just like a lot of respect to what he does, and like he's not like ever going to be unreal with you or anything. He's going to put himself in like that position first, and then ask himself like, what would I do? What would I not do? What do I need to do? And stuff like that. So, and he just really cares. Like you can tell that he's like, especially for being a little bit younger, kind of. I think that might help him out a little bit. He's a little bit closer to that feeling like when because he only played in like he played in that 2012 when they went to the Hardy, he said. So
Yeah.
like being able to have that close connection and just that feel of it, and then he's just like yeah, super personable. Like I can talk to him in the hallways, so like it's just easy to connect, and we just kind of keep an open mic in the locker room everywhere, so everyone's pretty open with what they say and just get all the honesty out, which is nice.
That is good. So we'll get into the unbelievable run here. What about Sheldon Gray? What do you like about him and the way he runs his defense?
Oh, he's a mastermind. I love how much he like how complicated, well not complicated it can be, but like just how precise it can be. There's always like there's never just like a loose end in our playbook, or never like a just like oh well like kind of they won't run that. Like no, we're prepared for like 99.9% of situations. So I really like that. And then he just like the way he comes up with things, and like just like the 3-4. I've also always played in a 3-4 defense, so that's like kind of been nice. But yeah, no, he's just a mastermind.
So who gets the credit for that run, man. Because let's be honest, I've said this for the Rams for a long time. Listen, I'm a season ticket holder for the Rams, so I can talk like this, okay? Not only a broadcaster, but a season ticket holder. If you're in Regina, an undergraduate school, you're kind of a small market school because you can't offer all the programs other universities can. It's just fact of life, okay? So that maybe cuts down the recruiting process for the guys that can come here, okay? So in order for the Rams to go, be a championship team, they need to have good recruiting classes, which McConkey's done. They need to be pretty lucky with health, get some bounces, and the old saying is good to be lucky and lucky to be good. So you guys race off to a great start, and then for one reason or another, you kind of shit the bed for 5 games, and it looks like you're done. Like, honestly, dude, I'm in Calgary. I told you the table the other night. I'm in Calgary, and my son and I are like, okay, so the week before, him and I are watching the Alberta-Manitoba game, and we're like, holy shit, Manitoba came back. We're all right, man. Now all we need is Alberta to beat the Rams, and then that last game is going to mean something against the Huskies. I'm in Calgary. We're at my brother's house. It's 22-4 Alberta. We're like, we're not going to watch that. Let's do something else. The Rams are done. And no disrespect. I'm a season ticket holder. And then all of a sudden we turn it on at the end, and you fucking guys win. And you win. Like, you guys should have been dead. Who gets the credit for? Like, how did this come together, man? Because it was an unbelievable run.
I just think it's everyone's mindsets, like we knew, like, especially after some big losses, especially like even at Calgary at home, like that was like a big one because we knew that we had, like, that was one of our the two games that you get. So like to win them both, like, it helps a lot. So even losing that one, like, guys were frustrated, but they knew they weren't like stressed out or kind of like jumping off the boat, you would kind of say. Like, guys were all in it, all locked in, and it was just like, we just need to keep going. And Mark's preached it all year, like, it's going to be a fight, and you just got to keep going to the last whistle. So, like, especially like it was tough even in that Alberta game. Like, the first touchdown's a blocked field goal for a touchdown, and it's like, oh man, like, that's not ideal, but you just got to keep rolling with the punches and keep fighting back and just land the uppercuts when you can.
So what was it like to go into Saskatoon and beat the Huskies in front of over 8,000 fans? About 3,000 of them were your own fans, but to just win that game, what was that like? Because you know what? You beat them, they beat you. It was close, so I knew that game would be close, but you guys had, once again, opportunistic defense.
Mm-hmm. No, that feeling I don't think I'll like be able to top that unless with like a Vanier maybe, but no, that was unreal. Especially just like the history behind both the teams, and then like winning that game, like it felt amazing on the field, like kind of celebrating on their field, which was awesome, getting like presented the trophy. And then like when you go to the locker room, everyone's kind of happy, of course, everyone's cheering and celebrating. And then like seeing your phone after and seeing all the alumni texting you and stuff like that. So it was a big win for like a lot of Rams, not just the 48 guys that played that day, which is sweet.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of an interesting team too. Hey, you played junior football, so you know how important, how good that league is. And half of this team's history, or over half this team's history, is steeped in junior tradition. It's kind of an interesting team that way.
Yeah, it's like one of a kind in what they kind of did with it, and like especially coming up and like taking on the challenge of coming to the like U Sports level. I think like it was kind of like a cool, rich history to it, and like a little backstory, which is nice. And it was kind of cool with the white helmets or the horns too. Like they always were like a big winning team with the white horns, and then we brought them back and won it the first year we brought them back. So it was kind of like a nice little tradition there.
I'm glad you said that, baby. Boom. That's exactly it. Hold on a second here. In the back here. Just give me a second here. Just to prove that I'm not bullshitting you. I bet you a bunch of crap's going to fall down here. This is, we were, I don't know if you can see that. Ram horn there.
Oh, yeah.
We were, it's from Ulysses to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. That's what we all got for the 1993 championship. We were undefeated, and we're in the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. So yeah, the Rams are a big deal. So this is for guys that couldn't afford. I was going to school, broadcasting school, and guys couldn't afford. Some guys couldn't afford like rings, right, to buy their own rings. So we had to buy our rings back then. So Frank McChrystal got these all made up, the trophies made up for all the guys, so we could put it on the mantle. So it's cool, man. But how much, like, it was such a great run, but how much, like, honestly, I was on this show and I said, listen, I love the Rams, season ticket holders. I said 3 times in this interview. But if I had to bet all my money, I'd bet it on Laval just because they were steeped in tradition. They've always. But man, you guys should have won that game. And if you would have won that game, you probably would have won the Vanier Cup. Like, think about that. That is crazy. How much do you kick yourself in a way? I know it's exciting. It was great, but do you look at it that way, or how do you look at it?
Like I definitely kicking myself for sure. There's like, cause I like the effort thing, like giving it all, gave it everything I got. So like that was kind of like I can live with that a little bit. But there's some plays where it was just like that tipped one. I know like Maud like kind of lives this one too. But like I was right there as well. And so just like to be able to see that ball go up and then like I don't know, you lay down at night sometimes and you replay that one over and over. But I don't know. Things worked out the way it did, Our offense did what they needed to, and we just defense just got to hold it down for one more series. But I think like Laval made like a lot of great adjustments in that last drive. Like they switched up a few things on us, which I don't know. Like I think we could respond a little bit better, but you got to give credit to them.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this team, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think this team is set up for a pretty good year next year as you host the Vanier Cup. I think the U of S Huskies, adding Mason Niles, would be a good thing for them as their assistant head coach. They've got some good things going on there. I think you guys have got some things going on there. And then the rest of the conference is kind of in a state of transition. No Brian Dobie, no Chris Morris. I don't think Rooker's going to probably come back as the quarterback for UBC. Calgary's, I don't know what's going to happen there. So things are shaping up pretty good for your football team, I think. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel confident. I mean, like you got to go every year, into every year pretty confident. So, I think we got the right guys. We've always had the right guys, and we lose a couple pieces, but that's just like part of the game. We got to fill some holes and get some guys to step up. So, those younger guys that have been practicing and working their ass off for 2 years now, and maybe haven't seen their kind of time. It's time for that. Like this is their moment. So just kind of waiting on them for them to step up. And I think we're in a good spot. We got a lot of our core back. Like a lot of guys come back. A lot of the offense coming back. So I think we're set up for a good future. Just gotta keep rolling with the punches. Keep going at it.
So Chopper, you have some eligibility yet, but you are a guy that I think, unless I'm putting words in your mouth, you want to play some pro football or what? Would you love to be dressed in a CFL uniform one day?
Yeah, I would love to go pro. That's kind of like, that's always been the dream since I was a kid. I'm still kind of undecided on what I want to do with this year, depending on how camp goes and stuff like that. And then also like our season played a little bit into effect, like being that close was kind of like makes me pretty hungry for the next one, so kind of still on the fence there. I still waiting on an invitation to the combine and stuff like that, so I'll kind of see what my future looks like.
Well, I don't know. You better get an invite. You're a heck of a football. And you got the right name, too. When you think of Ryder, Varga, Chopper, Hippe, come on, man. No, that has football written all over it. When did you want to have when did you realize I want to play pro football? I want to have a chance to do that?
Like before I can even remember, I think, to be honest. Like I've just always loved football. I've always wanted to play. I remember like my first year of football, I was 8 years old, and the peewee like age limit was like 9. Like you had to be going on to 10. And I remember I begged my dad, and he was the vice president, and he actually got me in a year early. So I got in, like I was begging by the year of 7 to go play football. So I've always loved it, always wanted to play it. So
I met your mom and dad. They're good people. Also, like my son has always wanted to be a CFL player. He came by it naturally because his dad was a broadcaster, and I'd get him tickets and he'd go to all the games, and he always had the dream of playing CFL. Like football, if you're a football player, you probably want to play NFL because it's perceived to be the best, right? But have you followed the CFL? I find a lot of young guys don't follow the CFL. My kid does by extension, but do you follow it? Like, have you looked up to any CFL guys, or has it mostly been NFL guys?
Mostly, I would say mostly NFL guys, but like I've started to kind of grow onto the CFL a little bit more, and like I've always watched it and stuff like that. I wouldn't say I've ever been hooked on it, but there's definitely like guys like I really like Simone Lawrence. I really like watching him play, just like freak athlete, and like for how big he is and stuff like that. So I've watched him kind of like Adam Big Hill too. He's a great guy. So just like you're familiar with the names and kind of watch them every once in a while. I wouldn't say I deep dive them like my NFL, like the NFL guys. I kind of deep dive a little bit more, but.
Is that because of fantasy and betting and all that stuff like that, and there's more teams? Like I'm trying to figure out why and it's not a cut down to you. Why? How do we get younger guys like you who actually could play in the CFL? How do we get younger guys like you turned on to the game?
For me, honestly, it was a lot of the NFL films. Like when I was a young kid, I would just watch those NFL films, just like those documentaries on like players or documentaries on like Super Bowl teams and stuff like that. And then I just kind of got hooked from there. So, and I kind of started doing that with the CFL stuff a little bit too, like kind of seeing some of the history there and like seeing like how deep, because it's a really deep history in the CFL that like a lot of people don't really know about. And so,
You know what the problem is, Chopper, is we don't have enough. I'll just say it. We don't have enough shows like this where we actually talk to guys like you, like who are coming up, where we build the stories from a young age, coming from Lloyd, brother played for the Rams, where it's like, okay, let's follow this guy. Because in the NFL, you're following these guys from Georgia, Alabama, whatever. You know their story when they get to the NFL already.
yeah, yeah. And like you're so invested into it now. So, yeah, and like yeah, so like those guys get so invested in their stories and their lives and like kind of like their dedication and kind of try and replicate it. So I know that's what I kind of did. So yeah, and like just in being able to like, I also think like not having a football team near my city doesn't really help either.
Yeah.
Like my parents were always big Eskimo fans and stuff like that, but like football wasn't like our major thing. It's always kind of hockey. So and then like everyone's cheering for hockey and like everyone knows all the hockey names and stuff like that. So then you kind of just kind of get on your own boat a little bit.
Okay, I got to ask you a key question. This is the last one. This could go. This might determine whether we ever talk again or not. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Take this very carefully. In Lloydminster, and it's Minster, not Minister. I hate when people say that. It's Lloyd.
Yeah, ministers.
It's
It cuts like a knife every time I hear it. Mark does it every time.
like Calgary. I hate that too.
Yeah.
Lloydminster, Calgary. So from Lloydminster, border city, Oilers or Flames?
My dad was always an Oilers guy.
Yeah,
My dad was always an
we
Oilers
can
guy.
still be buddies. Yeah, but what are you? Are you an Oilers guy too?
I'm an Oilers guy too. I don't watch that much hockey, but I wouldn't cheer for Calgary, that's for sure. They seem a little.
Boom! And it's okay if you don't like the Flames, you can call them Calgary. You know
Yeah.
what? You know what? A bra's got more cups than the Flames.
Hey.
Hey, Chopper, thanks for your time, man. The
thank you.
Crestview Chrysler Ram Tough Player of the Year, right there. Chopper Hippe. I hope you get an invite to the Combine. I hope you make the CFL, but if you come back for another year, I'm looking forward to that too. Oh, by the way, one more thing. It's not just about football. At some point, your football career is going to end. What do you want to do? Like, what are you taking in school? What do you want to do when football's done?
Ooh, I'm in kinesiology, and honestly, like I haven't really kind of found like I kind of like Cairo, but I honestly just want to help athletes. That's like my biggest thing. Just like I kind of like the whole idea of the recovery process and being able to kind of just like help that like not only the physical aspect of it, but like the mental parts of it too. And it's just kind of help recover athletes or maybe even train athletes one day. You never know. Just in that realm, want to be around athletes.
Chopper, thanks for your time, bro.
Yeah, thank you.